Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're taking a look here at Pepe. Congratulations to our community members who are up on our long trade from yesterday at 113,000. That is fantastic, upwards about 45 to 50% on a spot trade. That is crazy. I know some folks are using 3x leverage on BitGet. Might recommend considering using BitGet. We have an affiliation with them. They provide us with some really awesome trading competitions. Quick note though too, just to kind of congratulate some community members here. I just want to kind of let you guys know that it's fantastic that we took some nice healthy short profit from our Ajax trade there, 33%, and then of course our APT about 20% in 8 hours. Okay, so those are some those are not spot trades, by the way. You cannot short on spot, but simply put, took some nice healthy profits there before the Fed meeting, and that was really cool to be able to kind of catch that. And thanks again to my community members who actually were able to watch that live with us here. That was really a lot of fun. We do have live streams, of course, that happen every couple of weeks with our roundtable discussions where we cover major events like that. Okay, so be sure to check that out. You can find that also on our Twitter here. And as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and pull up this chart here where we actually talked about Pepe yesterday. I sent out Pepe, or just pretty much all coins that I'm covering, potential increases or decrease, the charts, right? And what we're looking at here is with price action coming down to that basically 80,000 range, and then it bounced really, really hard, really fast. Now, I wasn't expecting it to break its most recent high or all-time high, but now that we're in price discovery, and we should be able to see the price action come back down and test that level. So you can kind of see here, this is that recent high, the most recent high. That should be a support level and or support range right here in between the most recent high and the previous all-time high. Okay, so this level here at about 143 to 148 is going to be a nice, strong support level. Okay, really cool stuff there. So what we want to look at here is the 4-hour time frame, because keep in mind, we look at the daily, there's not a lot going on with the moving averages. You don't really have enough history to base this on, right? So typically what you need to rely on is, well, shorter time frames, but also Fibonacci retracement levels, and in some cases, Elliott wave, if and when ever available. Okay, now we can look at that on the hourly, we'll see kind of what that tells us. But at this point here, right now, we can see that on the 4-hour, there's some positive stuff. Obviously, strong momentum to the upside, right? We're 6 4-hour candlesticks into this continuation. Keep in mind, if we continue further here, there's a great chance that we could and should start to retrace around on 9. Now, keep in mind, that doesn't necessarily matter too much when you have parabolic behavior, because we saw previously here that once we broke through that all-time high at the time, right there at about 43,000, boy, wouldn't that be a nice number to get back into? We could see that the price pushed up really hard, really fast, and it really didn't matter. Okay, but the bottom line is this. Typically, in most cases, when you see a 9 and T sequential, the price should pull back because you had 4 candlesticks previous that continues upwards to a 9. Okay. Now, I have a video on how that works. Obviously, check that out in your own time, but generally speaking, TD sequential is a good indication for overextension. Now, we can see here that we are extremely converging on the MACD. That's very, very positive. So good momentum there. We had a nice bounce off of 50 on the RSI. And as I've talked about previously, maybe if you haven't seen all of my other videos, of course, I make a lot, of course, but generally speaking, I'm a very big proponent for 50 on the RSI working as a support and resistance level. The fact that we had that level would allow for us to buy that dip and to effectively get us where we need to go. Okay, so simply put, pay attention to 50, 70, and 30 on the RSI. There's strong support and resistance levels depending on which side you're on. We want to stay in the 50 to 70 range, and we're right now there at about 70, and that's a very positive sign. We also have this little bit of a double bottom on this stochastic as well, and I think it's important to recognize because when you see that occur a couple of times, it's usually going to be followed by a strong increase. Okay, so very, very good stuff there in that sense. Pretty much just standard technical analysis here. Furthermore, too, we're also above the 20-day SIP moving average, which is very, very important. We want to maintain a price action above that. So as this continues to average itself up, we want the price to kind of stay above and continue upwards. Once we lose that, like we have previously, there's potential for the price to continue lower. Okay, which we didn't. We bounced off support where there's a lot of volume at this level, but generally speaking, that's kind of what we looked at. Okay, again, if you didn't catch yesterday's video, that's something we talked about. All right, so let's talk about this here now. Taking a look at this guy, what we can see so far is a few little bounces, right? Now, this is basically the Elliott wave on the hourly. Keep in mind, the smaller the time frame, the less reliable, but we have less time frame, right? So in that sense, what we want to expect here is that the price were to pull back. It's a common characteristic for the price to pull back to the 0.382, 0.5, and 0.618 levels. Now keep in mind, these levels aren't matching up specifically just because of the simple fact that we have these Fibonacci retracement levels kind of reversed, if you will, but for lack of better terms, right now, what we can see is if the price were to pull back, just say hypothetically worst case scenario, 120,000, 130,000, 143. Okay, now this is not a guarantee. This doesn't necessarily always occur, because you got to keep in mind this high could go higher, right? So we may not be in this secondary phase of ABC pattern. Okay, and typically what that just implies is once you hit your all-time high, it's common for the price action to find a lower low, a lower high, and then a lower low again. Okay, so the price action could and should go like this if and when it decides to retrace on its way back down. Okay, we kind of saw the start of that over here, but it didn't go down any further, right? It just kept going up. So all in all, very good stuff. I'm not super concerned with the fact that we're going to potentially retrace there. What we want to see is if the price can hold in this area here first. Okay, so we want to see if the price can hold between 143 and 148. That's essentially the support range we have right now based on the most recent highs, right? Because again, highest point 148, second highest point 143. So we got that nice little support range there because the price action is very common to retrace to that level and to bounce. It kind of already did if you think about it, because if you look at the 15 minute, in fact, let's do that now, you can see the price action came down, wicked down immediately, and again, starting to create that base. One thing I love about this is a nice little pattern here. We got this pennant type of pattern where the price will inevitably break out either up or down. It's more common to break up than down in this case because we have a lot of momentum to the upside. Furthermore, take a look at how healthy this continuation is. Up, over, and then blast off, right? Once it breaks through that key level resistance. So a lot of reasons why the price should sustain itself above 150,000. I'd be very surprised if we see a price point lower than that, but also not surprised too, because cryptocurrency has a tendency of being kind of weird, right? We got to recognize, keep this in mind, this is more macro stuff that I cover in my Bitcoin videos, but with Bitcoin kind of coming up here and then, Bitcoin dominance kind of drawing dead in this resistance range here, we are in a curious position right now, okay? Because alts are getting hit very hard, even though Bitcoin increased very strong. And we're seeing this unique little situation where meme coins right now are just taking off, right? So be sure to watch my Wojak videos too, I cover that as well. But generally speaking, I think we are in pretty good shape here for Pepe. If we do lose, just say that support though, just keep in mind, if we lose that support at 148, 143 should be a secondary. And then we'll have to see if we can hold above this trend line, right? So we could very well break down like this and then continue higher, okay? But we want to kind of pay attention to a few things, and I think that's important to recognize. The last thing we want to take a quick look at would be just say the hourly. I do want to note that we did have an overextended state here, okay? So take a look at what normally happens. This is what should happen when you hit a 9 on TD sequential. Price comes down to a 9, and then it turns itself around, right? Now, this is a lower low, lower high pattern, so it's kind of a bad example, but it does get you the point, right? When you see a 9, we've had 9 hours of continuation in one direction, has to come back around, okay? We saw 9 hours up here, price is coming down. So it makes sense for us to consolidate for the next 6 to 8 hours, and then for the price to leg up later, okay? Now, it could very well leg up soon, but I have a strong feeling we're going to consolidate at this level and not break down below it, just based on the patterns that we're seeing here so far, okay? If that changes, we'll reevaluate, we reconsider, okay? Because again, being a good trader isn't just coming to a conclusion right now and going long for the rest of your life. You want to make sure to reevaluate consistently and ensure that you are on the right side of tracks. That's why we look at this daily and ensure that we know exactly where we're going and what it's doing. Is it exact science? No, but it does help us kind of take the odds in our favor. Like I try to give the example to my community members, trading is like gambling for the most part. The house always wins. But if you trade correctly and you consistently reevaluate things, you can become the house in a lot of ways and make that 45% probability of 55% probability and be successful. It's super common, super realistic, okay? So you want to learn more about that, cryptocash.tech is a site, link down below, of course. We do have a lot of community members and some awesome things going on right now. We're actually bringing day trades to community 2 here, a fully automated system. You just kind of let it go in autopilot. This strategy works very, very well. Cannot wait for that to unveil. We're just kind of wait for Cornix and our web guys to get that up and running. That'll be within the next week or 2 tops. Greatly appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. Help us grow our Twitter community too, if you could, please. Feel free to follow, like, retweet, the whole 9 yards. Greatly appreciate that. Help us grow. You can be part of something really, really big. Thank you again so much for joining me here. Hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.